It's alive! It's alive! Not bad. Not bad. Fairly straightforward and pretty easy for the most part. Oh, you guys never did get a chance to see my new setup, huh? Let me show you. So Tommy used to be here, and now I'm here. Got the lights hung up, my little trash can. There's my US General plug-in power. That thing's pretty awesome. Magnets right to our beam. What up, what up? Road testing this Hyundai. Back to the shop. Had a topic that I wanted to discuss. I think it was brought up in last week's Friday Night Live, baby. So I figured we'd go ahead and discuss it a little bit further in detail and put it more in a video for you guys, because I think overall you can always go back and rewatch it later. But the question was I think it was from Kyle, Rust Belt Mechanic. Do you feel that mechanics are undervalued? And then more so, do you think that certain positions are undervalued and others tend to get more of the gravy or the easier jobs, which constitutes better hours, which overall makes you better money? And then listening to both Kyle and Nathan kind of go back and forth as far as like how it was for them at the shops that they were at, Kyle being from a dealership and then Nathan from being from an independent. But diag wise, you can really get wrapped up into certain diagnostic troubleshooting scenarios. I haven't had to do too much diagnostics, so I can't speak for myself in that regards. I have had certain diagnostic situations with the dealership that took me through a loop and I had to follow flow charts. But I have seen our diagnostic guy go through just loopholes trying to figure out the equation, you know what I mean? The overall, what's the answer, you know, what's causing this? And so I know exactly what they're talking about, and sometimes you just get stumped. And you know, I could say the same exact thing when it comes to mechanical repairs, really. And I've seen a handful of situations that Shane has been in, because he's our front end guy, where sometimes you just get kind of stumped or hung up on the front end work. And so I think it all kind of evens itself out if you look at it in one aspect, because let's say you've done the same exact cylinder head job on the same exact car or manufacturer, right? Make, model, everything. And you're gonna get into this flow. You get in this flow of memorizing the torque specs. You know what a fastener looks like. You could take all these fasteners, dump them in a bowl, mix them up, dump them out onto a table. And 9 times out of 10, the guy that's the heavy line guy is gonna be able to organize them into individual piles and already knows what they go to. So that helps a lot. At the independent shop, you kind of get there, but it takes a lot longer. I feel like you have to do enough jobs of the same exact vehicle to at least know what each bolt is. And then over time, it really doesn't matter what vehicle you're working on, nuts and bolts wise. But yeah, there are going to be some smaller bolts that you're going to have to go, where does this go? So as far as the whole like, you know, dissemination of work and who gets what and he gets the easy job, I got to say that I think it's pretty equally distributed if you consider the types of work that you get. Because I might have, you know, a couple engine jobs that don't go home 1 week, but I got a couple transmission jobs that did, or I start one before the end of the week, come back the next week and I do maybe another engine or cylinder head job, maybe a timing belt. And then those people that didn't pick their cars up from the week before pick them up. So the next thing you know, I just made 60 or 70 hours in 1 week, and really it was carryover from the week before. Other times there's just not enough of certain work coming in to get a whole bunch of hours on. And so you kind of got to distribute the wealth to the guys that you think can get it done the quickest. Are we undervalued though as mechanics? Yeah, I think a lot of shops do kind of take mechanics for granted, because there's so many people that are wanting to be in this profession, that want to turn a wrench for a living, that are eager to dive in there. But I kind of fall back to this whole mentality that good help is hard to find. You know what I mean? Because you could have a good solid B Tech or A Tech, and then if you don't want to pay the man, because there's another expression that I've learned from an old timer, shut up and pay me, you know what I mean? Especially if you're providing all the necessary tools to do just about any job that you run into. You really gotta be educated. You gotta have the tools for the job. You gotta have the experience to gain that speed in order to become valuable. But then, yeah, a lot of shops, I think that they kind of look at the mechanics that they have and they're like, well, If not you, someone else, right? Because there's always somebody willing to step in. But that somebody that's willing to step in might not have the same exact work ethic, might not have the same exact personal behavior at work, as far as a mixture of their professionalism as well as like maybe their humor that adds a little something to the shop. And you know, I think some shops value their mechanics differently than others, for sure. When I was at the dealership, there were certain times that I felt valued, and there were other times that I did not feel valued. And at the independent shop, there's been very few times that I didn't feel valued, and then there's been a lot of times that I felt very valued. Like, my opinion actually matters, like what it is that I do for the shop actually matters. And I think overall they're happy with me. If they weren't, I don't think I would be here for as long as I have been. You know, now I've been here for over 4 years. Let's get down to the brass tacks here, okay? What most mechanics are looking at is the shop overall. Let's say they charge, you know, anywhere between $95 and $125 per hour. That's labor, right? Say you're a kick butt tech, you really know what you're doing, you can get the work done, but maybe you're only making, luckily, a fourth of what the overall shop is actually getting paid. Things that you gotta take into consideration, they gotta pay into things like workers' comp, insurance, they got OSHA licensing agreements, they got the electricity right, they got the mortgage to the building if it's not paid off, then they got their laboring incomes that they have to pay out to their laborers. So there's a lot more that's involved, and overall you have a certain amount as a shop that you must make every single week to know if you're going to be able to basically keep the lights on without dipping into your savings, which happens more times than you guys know, okay? Because there are crucial times when the work is just so few and far between that you don't really have another option except for pulling out of your savings. And that can be extremely scary from an employer standpoint, because he's like, oh God, okay, so we had to pull from savings. Now what can we possibly do to get back on track, to be back in the money, to replenish our savings? So, you know, in some ways, you know, I think that mechanics feel more undervalued than they actually are. The fact of the matter is, we work in a trade labor, and trade labor was only worth so much money. If you wanted to do something else, should have thought about that before getting into automotive. Here's something else to think about. If I could have done anything else for a living, would I have? Absolutely. There are several things that I wish I would have done differently as far as career-wise, but this is the path that I chose, and it's taking care of me, it's taking care of my family, and overall I really don't have that many complaints about it. There are a handful of really bad days that really make you question whether or not you want to continue doing it, that's for sure, but that's a whole nother story. Think of it this way. You guys are doing what most people are not willing to, not capable of doing, or have the patience to do. And that's a pretty cool thing. Transmission! Mitsubishi Raider! For all my Raider Nation fans out there. I got one for you. Can you teach an old dog new tricks? That really depends on who the old dog is, to be honest. I have worked with some older gentlemen in the past at the dealership, and I currently work with a couple of older guys right now. But the ones at the dealership, there were a couple that... See, this is the weird part. When I was a fresh tech, I did so well on my inspections, the foreman actually wanted me to show others how I did it. And when you go up to somebody who, let's say, is seasoned, they don't typically want to hear from the guy that's half his age, because he's been doing it 2-3 times longer than the young buck that just came in. So clearly, if you have a shop foreman that thinks that this young kid can teach you a thing or two, I don't know. I guess it depends on if you want to learn it, you know, or if you just want to at least hear him out. I mean, maybe he can, maybe he can't. I had older gentlemen in my community college automotive program. They seem to learn just fine. But as far as the industry and older mechanics wanting to learn from the guy that's half his age, it doesn't happen very often, I'll tell you that. got these monsters, and they got so much gunk on the bottom of them. I want to wash them, clean them. All right, so Tommy had a bad day today. Well, maybe he's had a rough week. But one of the things that I'd like to try to tell you guys is that if you're having a bad week, look, sometimes you just got to wash your hands of it. I'm washing my hands right now. I had a great day. Granted, I did have a week off to recharge, but yeah, sometimes when you have a bad day, you just got to wash your hands of it in the evening and come back stronger tomorrow, because tomorrow is a new day. And I'm all about new days, right? Even if the day went really, really bad, that doesn't mean that the next day is going to be just as bad. My thoughts. Okay, final thoughts of the day. The glass can either be half full or half empty. Some people choose to look at the glass as being half empty. And I think when you look at the glass as being half empty, it really makes it more of a challenge for you to get to the full point. Whereas if you look at the glass as half full, it's a little bit more easier on your mental psyche overall to fill it up the rest of the way. Because now you're looking at, well, I'm so close, I can totally finish, and it's not going to be nearly as hard to finish as it was to get that first half, right? Other people looking at it as the glass half empty, they're going, great, I'm never going to get to the top, and it just keeps spiraling down, so at this point, my glass will be empty. And I see a lot of mechanics in this industry that have that glass half empty mentality. And I think maybe if you are feeling like that, you need to find some way of being able to make it feel like it's half full. Maybe it's time to take a break. Maybe it's time to take like a little vacation, a little you time. Whatever the case may be, I think once you figure out how to change the way your overall thought process is, you're gonna find that life is not as hard as it seems. Even during my toughest of times, when I felt like I was close to that bottom point, where I was down and out, I always saw the good in what it was that I had, and it made it to where it was easy to get through the suck point. And we did a video a while back called Embrace the Suck. If you guys haven't got a chance to check that video out, check the video out. I share some more wisdom. Well guys, that's pretty much gonna wrap it up with my random thoughts throughout the day. These are random thoughts of a mechanic. Cheers to those of you that have your beers. If you liked the video, smash a thumbs up. You didn't like the video, smash a thumbs down. Share if you want to share, but most importantly, make sure you subscribe for similar and upcoming content. We'll see you guys next time. Cheers and deuces.